This is 13 Minutes. I'm Elliot Reeves. My guest today is Jason Auld. Jason, how are you?
I'm good, Elliot. I like this because, there's that TV show called 60 Minutes. I'm like, I can't focus on someone's life for that long. So it's good to only have 13 minutes,
13 is more than enough.
More than enough. How are you getting on?
Yeah, good. Things are good. My first question for you has to be, did you watch UFC 249 and what did you think?
I definitely did. I was quite excited about it, like I think a lot of MMA fans were. There's a little bit of a moral quandary there, isn't there, Elliot, about whether it should have even been happening at all. I got incredibly excited at the concept of the whole Dana White's Fight Island, which is reminiscent of Enter the Dragon, when Bruce Lee has to go and fight the tournament, the Han Island martial arts tournament. But they did it in Florida. It's weird. It's weird because I'm someone, obviously, who's been involved in, I would say, the more entertainment side of sports and athleticism. So I'm very aware of the entertainment part of sports, at least through the presentation and the setup. And it's quite odd to have something like MMA with no fans at all, because you get things like, the main event, for example, there was some shots in there, and if there was an audience, there would have been some oohs and ahs, and I find it really interesting how maybe that affects some fighters. You hear like fighters who they fight for the crowd, they live off the energy, so it must be quite weird to have no one else there. I also know it was Greg Hardy, I think he was in the opening. Is that his name? Used to be an NFL player.
Yeah.
He said he heard Cormier say, he needs to defend those leg kicks, and then he started doing it, which I thought was quite funny. It's like, that's how quiet it was in the arena. They could actually hear the commentary. So, what about you? What did you think? Did you enjoy it? Do you think we need fans? Or?
I thought it was a brilliant event, actually. Like, I have to say, like, I've been to events live, and because there's no commentary there, you get, obviously there's crowd noise, but you're accustomed to just seeing only the fight. So like with the commentary and stuff, I have to say I don't feel, for me, it didn't make it significantly worse. I actually quite enjoyed it. It was different. It was cool.
Yeah,
it was an awesome event as well.
I don't miss commentary at all, because I do think sometimes the commentary can influence you, sometimes negatively, to think about certain things. I know, like, Joe Rogan has even been pulled up by some fighters who say, you said this about me in the commentary and it wasn't necessarily true. Yeah. So, but I do think just the energy, the crowd noise, the chants, it's almost gladiatorial, isn't it? And I think when you take that away, it just feels a little bit like you're just watching two guys in the gym. But I did thoroughly enjoy it. It wasn't a massive kind of criticism. It was good. It was good.
Yeah, good stuff. So let's have a little chat about lockdown life. Your social media has been absolutely brilliant with your workout videos, man.
Thank you.
I love them. How have you been managing yourself throughout this period?
Yeah, I think that's been a huge part for me, to be honest, has been trying to produce more stuff, trying to produce stuff consistently, also trying to produce stuff that is, dare I say, like relatable to people. So, as much as some of the stuff I do in my house, people are maybe not going to be trying it in their house. I think the fact that, like, you see some stuff online where these guys got these big mansions and they're doing flips off the roof into their pool and stuff, and you're like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I don't have a pool. I can't even get on the roof of my house. So, I think to see guys doing rolls on their sofa and press ups and push ups and stuff in the kitchen on the bunker and that, I think it's a little bit fun. It's a little bit relatable, and I think if I was trying to push a serious message in there, it would be. I think the tagline I used, as cheesy as it might sound, is that don't think of your house as a prison; it's your playground. So yeah, I think like a lot of people, I've tried to use it as a way of pivoting and thinking outside the box, and rather than thinking of it as a restriction, just thinking of it as a just kind of a new way of looking at things and trying to operate within that space. But yeah,
Not a prison, a playground. That's got you written all over it.
I know, right? Yeah. I did. I
I
must say,
love that.
I looked at my YouTube like analytics and stuff, and it was kind of like, what are the search words that my videos are coming up in? And I kid you not, one of the terms was prison workout. So read into that what you will.
That's classic. How do you think the world's going to be different on the back of what's happening just now?
I think that's a good question, actually. I spoke about this, cheap plug for my podcast, Just the Fitness Tip. I spoke about this on my podcast about how the fitness industry, I think, probably will change, because a lot of people are starting to see how independent they can be and how kind of decentralized they can be from, say, a gym or a facility or anything. Um, and I like to think, I mean, I think we've all seen it, haven't we? Like people trying to cut their own hair, and people like trying to learn how to cook new things and starting new hobbies and stuff. And I think people are
Yeah.
getting quite self sufficient, and I think that is really cool. But I
Mm-hmm.
also think, I like to think that that will be carried on. But I honestly think people will, as soon as lockdown's over, they will just completely forget all the new things they've learned. They'll completely forget about how easy it was to do these things on their own, and they'll just go back to the luxury of, almost fell over there. Go back to the luxury of too animated of just getting other people to cut their hair and do all this, that, and the other. And I can't blame people. I'm sure they'll be sick of it by the end. But I like to think perhaps the big takeaway that people will have is that they can be a little bit more self-sufficient, and with a little bit of effort, you can be a lot more independent. So
Yeah. What change would you most like to see?
oh, well, you know what? I am impressed with. I think a lot of people at the start of this thought there'd be a lot of doom and gloom. There'd be a lot of negativity. And I've actually been really impressed with how much positivity there's been. Obviously, cliche. It's a cliche to say that social media is a bit of a cesspool, and I think ultimately it is. If you've ever read the evening news comment section, you'll know what I'm talking about. But but I think there has been a lot of positivity. I think there's been people posting things to motivate and encourage other people. There's obviously been inspiring stories like your Captain Tom figures, people
Mm-hmm.
really going out their way to help other people. And you only have to look at the kind of people clapping for the NHS. I think before lockdown, if you told me that people would be kind of celebrating the NHS in the same way as people maybe celebrated war heroes, I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't have believed you. But I think it's kind of very refreshing, actually, and I think it's something that a lot of us can get behind, and I've been really impressed by that. So I think just carrying on that positivity. I think if we could do that, if we could think about what we're putting out there. And try and be a little bit more. Just nice sounds like such a rubbish word to use, but it also seems very apt. Just
Mm-hmm.
trying to be nice, trying to be more positive, and trying to build people up rather than knock them down. I think I've been quite impressed by that, and I'd love to see that continue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good stuff, man. I like it. What would be a sort of example workout for somebody who's at home at the moment that's trying to, maintain their gains?
Good question, Elliot. Fantastic question. So, I would say I think a lot of people are starting to realize that they don't need a huge amount of equipment. They don't need expensive personal trainers and the like to actually stay in shape. There's a million and one home workouts out there on YouTube. Not all of them are made equally. But I think the whole point, going back to this idea of independence, I think you realize very quickly that you can just go for a run, or you can do some body weight exercises, or in the case of me, for example, I think just moving, just moving around your house, getting your heart rate up. It doesn't need to be as complicated as we maybe make it out to be in normal life. So I would say to people, just use your body. Don't think about equipment. Don't even necessarily think about kind of rep ranges and sets and things like that. Obviously, if you're wanting to achieve something specific, like a weight loss target or gaining muscle or what have you, you might have to be a little bit more scientific about it. But if you're someone who's just looking to move and someone who's just looking to kind of maintain a baseline, I think the best thing you can do is just to move, and to move a way that you enjoy. I think a big thing that I've taken away from this has been having a project. And I know for a lot of people, I saw a really funny thing. I think I posted it on my Instagram that was, at the end of lockdown, let's all have a mass 5K and see who's been bluffing. Because I think everyone's been posting their kind of couch to 5Ks and all this stuff. But I think what it's shown people is, it's been an opportunity for them to try and focus on some kind of athletic goal. And running is as simple as it gets, but it could be something as simple as, getting your first pull up or doing 20 press ups every single day. Mm-hmm. So the takeaway really is just keep it simple. And there's a million and one different kind of body weight moves that you can learn that are really good for you in terms of building strength and increasing mobility and flexibility. And you don't need these kind of meathead instructors telling you that you need to buy X, Y, or Z or supplementation and all that. Just keep it simple,
Mm-hmm. Good stuff. What advice or insights would you give to anyone that was just having a really difficult time just now?
I think going back to this idea of the project, so I've seen a lot of people criticize this idea that, look, you're in lockdown, you're not on some kind of leadership retreat or some kind of 12-week kind of accelerator program. And yeah, okay, so don't get totally depressed if you don't come out of lockdown with a PhD. But I do think that having some goals and taking the opportunity to start something or continue something that you've been meaning to do for a long, long time, I think it's quite a cathartic process. Other than the fact that you are getting something from the actual practice itself, I think just having something to focus on, something to get up for in the morning, something to focus your efforts on, I think is extremely important. And it doesn't have to be, as I said before, you don't have to get an engineering degree. You don't have to run a marathon. It could be something as simple as, as I said before, baking or, God, it shows my mindset that the only thing I can think of is baking. But it is a worthwhile pursuit for anyone out there. But it could be something, even, I got Disney Plus and I was working my way through the old X-Men animated series. And that was a bit of a project for me, to be honest. I was enjoying that. Or playing gaming and stuff like that. I know a lot of people have got back into gaming who maybe weren't before. It's just having something that you can put a little bit of time into every day, make a little progress in every day, and hopefully get something from it at the end of that process. So I would say that, and also keep communicating with people. Obviously, Elliot, you spoke about the number of people you've managed to communicate with in a short period of time through this series, and I think that's really, really important, because it's not just the people watching us right now. Hi guys. But it's you communicating with me communicating with you, and hopefully opening that up to other people too. So I think just realizing you're not on your own, and making sure that isolation, even if it is a physical isolation, it's not also a kind of mental and emotional one too.
Yeah, definitely. Now, this has definitely helped maintain some semblance of sanity for me. So, yeah, it's good. Yeah. Well, where can people find you, Jason?
You can find me in my house, obviously, for the foreseeable future. But no, I'm at Jason Pro Unicyclist on Instagram. And I just stick that into YouTube as well. I've been trying to churn out a lot of YouTube content. As Elliot touched on, a lot of it is kind of silly, entertaining, but hopefully I don't want to say motivational, but inspiring people to get moving as well. And as I said, the whole theme of this has been keeping it simple. So check the stuff out over there. Give me a subscribe if you can. Just type Jason Auld, pro unicyclist. You'll find me. There's not many Jason Aulds who are also pro unicyclists on YouTube. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Jason. It's been a real honour and pleasure speaking with you. Always good.
The honour's all mine, Elliot. Just looking at your background alone has just perked me up massively. But no, thank you for your time, and I appreciate the platform.
Hey, you're welcome. Take care, man. Cheers.
Take it easy. Wash your hands. Don't forget to wash your hands.